Ooh. All right. How do you choose running shoes for yourself? Now, this video is for those who are not sure how to buy running shoes because believe me, I've looked at it and there are a plethora of running shoes out there. So you will need to know how to buy one, and this is how I do it. I used to do a lot of running, believe it or not. I used to do heaps of running for football, for soccer, for rugby. I used to do a lot of Ks in running shoes, and also in cleats as well, and also in some casual shoes, and I'll outline some of the differences and some of the different types of shoes that are available out in the market here as well. So before you get into buying your pair of shoes, you will need to know, first of all, the way that you run. Now, the way that you run is going to be very crucial to the type of shoe that you're going to get, because the majority of shoes are designed for a certain type of running technique, but there are a few other types of running techniques as well. Now, what I'm going to say is this: if you are a heel striker, I will use this pair of shoes right here. If you are a heel striker, which if you stride out pretty long, I'll put a video of me running up just about over here. What you'll do is you will have your first contact point of your heels hitting the floor first. This is called the heel strike method, and it's part of your gait when you are actually running. Okay, so when you are heel striking, this means that you need to find a pair of shoes that are going to be quite squishy down the back. Now notice a lot of the shoes that you're probably going to see now in Rebel, they look like a cloud, they look like a freaking boat. So those are the ones that are designed for heel strikers. Are you a heel striker? If you are, then chances are you probably will need a shoe that has a massive cloud down the back here. So this one also has a pretty big heel here as well, just in case. Now, the other type of running method is if you are a mid-foot striker, which means that when you hit the floor, you're kind of hitting from this part to about that part, not your heel. So you're going to contact from your toes, from the ball of your feet. So this is called your ball of your feet, and this is your heel. So ball of your feet to the middle of your foot. So this is the part where you contact on the shoe. So it's still quite heavy. There's quite a lot of impact going on in there. So you will need to make sure that you find a pair of shoes that is quite strong and quite absorbent around this area of your shoe. All right, and then after the third and final method of contact, depending on the way that you run, will be a forefoot run or a posi type running style. So this means you are constantly and always on the balls of your feet, which is on your toes, or also known as toe running, the toe contact point. Now, you're looking for shoes like those, and if you're that type of runner, you need to find especially shoes that have padding control down this section, this forefoot section of the shoe. This part should be just as fat and as thick as the other side. Now, if you go and have a look at the plethora of shoes that are out there, you'll probably see, you'll probably get confused which one is probably going to be a good pair of shoes for you as well. So this is how I've gone to. What type of runner am I? I am a forefoot runner type person because I have had knee injuries and meniscus injuries and ACLs and MCLs. So my knee hurts after I run a certain number of Ks. So I need something, so I have to run. I cannot run a heel strike method anymore. If I do that, I'll have pains in my ankles, knees, and hips and lower back. So I have zero pain through my ankles, knees, and hips when I run on the forefoot type technique. I'm not saying that this is the way that you should run, although I would encourage you to try it out because it has allowed me to start running again, even though, you know, I've had all sorts of knee issues. By the way, I am not a world-class runner by any means. I just need to and can go back into running again, and I can do some of the short distances that CrossFit programs have actually allowed us to do or made us do, or that I program for everybody else to do. So looking at that, we've now figured out the way that you run. Those are the three major distinctions. Now, to find a shoe that would suit you, you need to go through every single one of them one by one to go and check it out. So, looking over here, this is the ones that I settled with because this is perfect for the way that I run. I'm a 4 foot contact kind of guy. So this part of my shoe contacts, I've got a little bit of grip there. That works really well for me, and I'll tell you, putting these shoes on, it felt like absolute bliss. Now, what did I also do is I also checked that this type of shoe was suitable for that sort of running as well. So what I did was I went over to a website called, I think it was runfever.com. It's a website that you can access, and you can search on the top bar. I'll put it up link right beside here so that you can have a look. You can put the model of the shoe, the make of the shoe, the model of the shoe, because there's like millions of them, and they will tell you the ratings of each and every shoe from the number of people who have actually used them and run in them. They're giving you reviews of them, and it also tells you about the features of the shoe that would actually suit whether or not you are a heel, midfoot, or a 4 foot striker type runner. And this scored up pretty high. This was amazing as well. So the next thing that I need you to do also is when you look at shoes, and this is exactly what I did for the shoes, you go and grab this little insole out, and then you have a look at it and you check that shoe. All right, always check your shoes before you go and buy them. Always rip out this insoles here to see whether or not this will play a major role in my buying decision. So looking at this insole here, it's pretty thin and it's pretty flat, okay? And if you look at your insoles in here and you have a little play of them, boom, you're gonna get a lot of shoe. And check also if it's got enough stability on there for you on the sides. If the shoe tends to go out this way, that's going to be great. From the seam right into that shoe, it should look like a triangular type base there in case I toe out a little bit. And if you go and step into some of those force plate meters, what you will see is they're going to tell you, oh, you roll out then back in again, or that sort of, or out or in then out, that sort of stuff. You want to choose a shoe that's probably like solid in both areas so that you can also make sure that you don't trip and fall. Now, also these insoles here, some of them are super squidgy, all right? So you want to find ones that are really good. Asics are pretty good so far, but I checked out the Mizuno ones. The Mizuno insoles are super spongy and really, really thick. And this could give you the false sense of, wow, this is cushioning to its maximum. It feels amazing. But the problem with that though, is if the insoles are too thick and too spongy, it will probably wear out too soon as well. Because remember, if you're going for lots of runs, it's going to mean that they're going to wear out pretty soon as well. All right, so here are a couple of things. Check the insoles. It's not too fat and it's not too wide. This is always a nice thing to check. Next up, once you've done all of that, you have had a look at a shoe. You've put your foot in it. You've had a little bit of a run and a little bit of a skip and a dance around the shop. Looking at your budget, all right? So your budget is also the next thing on your list. Number 3 is to see how much you are willing to spend on a pair of shoes. Now, the most expensive pair of shoes is not necessarily the best pair of shoes. I tend to look at a whole range of them and I go by feel of how I feel in them. Of course, budget does play a massive part in them as well, but then you can get a really good pair of running shoes that suits you that for an average amount of price compared to some of the top dollar type shoes. So there are some shoes that are extremely expensive and only for elite level runners, and there are also like the baseline ones, and I'm always looking for something somewhere in between. Also check out some of the deals for some of the outlets or Gym Kit. This is where I bought mine in Gym Kit. Now also This shoe allows also heel strike in case we fall back into that method of heel striking, which I don't think I'm going to do. I tried to do the heel strike method running as a demo and I was absolutely rubbish at it. So comparing this to this, night and day, absolutely night and day. Okay, these are Cas shoes. These are the Ultra Boost Adidas. Also designed for running, but I use this more as a casual shoe now because it is more of a heel striker. When you walk around, you heel strike a lot, but for running, this wasn't too great. It was too thin, and I felt that forefoot was hitting quite hard on the ground. So this is not a great shoe for running. I did a Murph in these ones once before, and my knees were a little bit sore after that. So a good day is when I do a run and my knees are not sore and it's really good. So I've done quite a few runs in these ones already and a couple of good sprints in them, and they have been really good. My knees were not sore. So those were a couple of tips and tricks for you to look at how you're going to buy your shoes, and I hope those tips will help you out in choosing your next shoe. These types of shoes are meant for more longer distance runs. You're looking at between 1 and up to 10 Ks of running for these types of shoes. Not necessarily great for CrossFit. If you're looking at shoes for CrossFit, we'll cover that in another video. If you want to look at the different types of shoes that will be suited for running, I reckon these would be great for a long distance type run, and possibly even for a high rock session as well. I did a couple of pushes of the sled pole in these and a couple of pulls of the sled with them. They were fantastic to actually work out with but I would try to keep the weights of them as much as possible. All right, hope that helps. Hope this gives you an idea of how you can choose yourself a pair of shoes for running if you're not sure what you would like to buy, or how to get into, or how to get around the massive confusion of what do I choose on this massive wall here in Rebel Sport or in Gym Kit, because you can go walk into there, get absolutely confused. I hope this clears it up for you. Just follow these three methods, these three tips that I have for you, and it should get you into a nice, comfortable, long-lasting pair of shoes that's going to allow you to run comfortably. Also, don't forget, these shoes don't last too long. Okay, the minute this middle section here squashes down, or the heel squashes down, it's time for a new pair of shoes. Somewhere between 6 to 12 months is pretty good if you're not doing too regular runnings. If you're running quite regularly, you're looking at probably 3 to 6 months. If you run all the time, 3 months, and then most likely you're gonna squish the hell out of that. Okay, all right, hope that helps, guys. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments below. Let us know how you go with your shoe selection, and we'll see you in the next video.